Hi, this is Brian McHenry, McHenry Software. I'm going to walk through the new project technique for version 4 and show you how you can use the old technique if you're one of our longtime users and want to still use the old way. Bottom line is, first you want to start with this icon that says 64 that brings it up in 3D graphics. If you are someone who wants to start in the grid, you can start in the grid, but every time you start in the grid, when you run simulation, it jumps out to graphics, and then so it loads graphics and then unloads graphics. So it's much quicker to just start in 64, and then you can pop out to the grid if anything you need to do in the grid. So we start 64, and here it shows you what the version is. This one happens to be 930. It's version 4, and those dates may change slightly, and we post up. Generally, the first project that's loaded is this My First Project, which is just a simple intersection collision with a couple of animations. You can see there's a video on our video page where you can look at how some of the various things in this, and just to show you that. You go to the McHenry forum, which you can actually also go from here, important forum topics, and you can simply click videos. That'll bring up the videos here. From the main forum page, you see that there's licensee notes, and that has the videos right here. The other place you can go is there's the licensee only tech support, where there's a number of topics, etc. You need a password for that. We've sent you that. If you don't remember it, just drop us an email and we'll give you the password to get you in there. Here's all the various videos, and in there you'll find some of interest that can give you some tips. But now for the version 4, we wanted to show this a slightly different technique. How we start with a new project, you go up to the project menu, and there's all the items to back up, restore, to select from ones you've done before, or you click on the plus right here, which is for new project. That brings up this dialog, which demonstrates the 4 simple steps to create a project. First item is enter a new project name. So we'll just call this new project. And then we'll also select where we want to put it, which is MSoft projects. And then from the project templates, which are updated every time you load up your software, or if you want, you can always refresh and it just goes out and checks if there's anything new, or if I've made a change for you, or if we've made a change for you. So let's just say we're going to go and do a T-bone. And each one of these, as you do it, you see shows just a snippet of going to be loading. And obviously you're going to go in, once you load these projects that are like yours, you're going to load your specific image, your specific terrain, your specific vehicles. Now I notice on this one, because I've already started running this and then restarted it, you can actually just go finish. If you have one that you have yet to download to your system, because instead of downloading everything or having the install have all these items, we now have both the projects and the vehicles and objects all in the cloud, and once you use them, they're downloaded to your computer, but if you don't use them, there's no point to bog down your computer with all that. So we go ahead and let's try a different one. Let's do the rear ender, because that hasn't. You notice you click on for step 3, choose a template, and then click download. And so it downloads that template, and then all we're going to do is finish. One other thing we wanted to mention is if you click on create customized project and say next, you see it goes to the prior way that many of you are familiar. But for now, we're going to go through those 4 steps. And I guess it restarted that, so we'll say new project. And now you notice when we select this, it has been downloaded, so we just say finish, and it loads this up. Now, if we wanted to see, we could simply do, it doesn't run anything, but if you want, you could just say click run. It just runs this rear ender. And you can see a simple rear ender. But of course, obviously, this isn't yours. So we'll go to overhead and look at the scene. And if that isn't your scene, then what we want to do is bring in another. So you simply can go click on ground. And if you can either enter an image, you can go and do Google. That's the search where you can put in a location, and it'll bring in a picture and or elevations from anywhere. You can also load DXF if you have that. This is for VRML files. So let's go ahead and just open a image. And we'll go ahead to this 2017 iTie. And we say OK. And it gives you a general guesstimate at what your size is. You can put that in. Now the next thing we do is, you see, this is ground 2 because it always loads ground 2. And so we want to get rid of, the next one is ground 2. And you see if you can hide ground 2. Then you bring it back and you go to ground 1 and we go delete because you don't need that one anymore. Now you see this is too small. So the first thing we're going to do is let's expand the size of this to, let's say, 250. Then we need to scale it. So we click on the picture and go over here and image, and we say set size from points. Now normally you should have a scale, and I believe I put one in here. See how I have 100 feet? So I go click, click, and it says only 22. So if we put in 100, you see you have a larger, and again we may need even larger on the size. So then we click on the ground again, we close out the scaling size, and we click up here for the ground size, and let's make that 500. Now we have our two vehicles, and the question is, what are the vehicles in your actual case? You click on the one vehicle and go over here, and you can either, let me move this over slightly so you can see it. You can either change the model and specs or change the model and retain specs. What we mentioned is when you're starting a case, we may not have the exact model or as good a model you want. So use any model, but bring the specs in for your specific model, and then once we've created the 3D model, which you just let us know and we'll get it, you can then swap them out while retaining the specs. But for this, we are going to bring in the specs, so we go ahead and specs. And now you'll notice that if you've just installed, some of you that are longtime users will see your 3D model directory will be populated, whereas new users will only have few models in here. So we go out to the cloud, and it goes out and it downloads. It's the first time. After that, they'll be down here, but it's downloading all the models from the cloud, just the name of the model and a picture of the model. And it takes a few seconds, depending on your speed. But then the next time we go in here, when we go for vehicle 2, you'll see that's going to be fully populated. Now once they're loaded, you'll see that there's a big long list of all the models that are currently available. And at any time, if you go out to our help file again, let's go ahead and close this for a second. Go out to the help file. I'll go out to the forum topic for models. Need a model. You see there's one there. Click that. It'll bring you to the forum topic and talk about, go out to 3D CAD browser, find a model, and once you find a model, let us know. These are some of the models that are in there, and we will download it and add it, and then now you simply get it by just simply repopulating your models. So if we click on that vehicle again, it's vehicle 1. We say we want to change the models. And let's just say we have a BMW 3 Series. So we go ahead and download that model. And now you say OK. And it brings up the specs. And all you want to do is make sure you got the right model. So if it's a BMW, click on BMW. And then we can either put 328 or whatever model you have. To rear-wheel drive, but you would obviously set it to the one that you have. Then we want to also occupants and cargo, a 200-pound driver, and if there's any other passengers or whatever, and you say, and one other thing you can do is recalculate the moment of inertia. See how that changes by doing that? Or let's say we had 400 people. You recalculate it, and now we say OK. So that's vehicle 1. Now we go to vehicle 2. We do the same thing. Again, you click on cloud. It shows you all the different vehicles. Let's go ahead with a PT Cruiser. We download it. And of course, once you download it, it will be available. I'll show you that in a minute, but so we go ahead and say OK. So this is a Pacifica. If you have a specific model, then it'll bring them all up, and then you can look for your year or select the year. You see how it lists the different years. We also suggest you go to Citrus and Clones. That's an online service. We have some, but ours is probably 8 years old. They went to an online service about 8 years ago, and we'll show you that in a minute, but we go ahead and then we want to put in how many, was there a driver, etc. Let's say 180 for the driver. Recalculate the moment of inertia, and we say OK, and now we click Run. I've noticed I've got my picture out of the field of view. Now I'm moving it back over. That was to show you the menu there. Now we can go zoom in, look at a different. Other things that you can do is, let's just say these cars are a different color. Let's make this car whatever, you pick the color that's for the body, and let's just say this is a gray car. We say OK. And then it'll say instead of red, let's make this vehicle dark maroon. And now when we play it, see how now we have the your specific impact. Obviously, you may want to put in target rest positions, etc. And then if you didn't have terrain elements, we could actually put in a three-dimensional terrain element. They're not running off the road, but let's just make it have a coming down a hill. So we click on Edit Elevation, zoom out the full way for starters. What I normally do is put 4 corner points. So it's fully covered. Then we're going to have this come down a hill to the intersection. And then we'll make this. That's the only thing we'll do, is just do that side. So now when we make the hill, let's make this 10 points, or 10 feet. Now we say make all triangles. It looks like it did it okay. At any time, if you don't think it made it correctly, you can go in and edit, but then we say apply. Now you see that we have a slight hill there. Well, let's make it bigger. We'll go back and make it even larger. So instead of 10, we edit. Let's make that 20. We apply. Now I got a little more hill. So now if we back them up, see that they seem to be under the ground, but all you do is when you rerun, you see that it follows the terrain and shows the three-dimensional aspects. That's a quick overview of the new project. A couple other things you'll notice. You see down here we're only showing the speed of each vehicle, the frame and time. To change that, we've added an option now. You go out here in text display, you can have, this is the traditional that we had before, which has the forward, lateral, vertical velocity, X, Y, Z position, and yaw, pitch, and roll. Or we can have it a second option, is to have just X, Y, Z, and the speed, and the yaw. So that's just, and again, as you see how it displays for that. Then the one that we were showing, which is the just 2 vehicles, we say OK, you play. Now it just shows velocity. One other thing is if you go to your new project and you go to run summary, we know that they hit at 1.075. So a very quick and easy option we have now is we can put in what is the contact time, 1.075, Now when you run it, you see that it shows a negative, and I'll increase this probably in our display just so you can see it. It shows a negative time up to the point of impact. So when you're running cases where you want to show how many seconds before impact, where the cars, etc., this is a quick and easy way to do that. And we had one other user ask, and so we added, what if we don't want any display? So now we just show this, and now it's just with the vehicles. We can zoom in. And there's also auto pan, auto zoom, things like that. Now to show a few other items that we have in the options. You can draw models as wireframes. You can hide the origin. You can add a grid at different increments. For the ground, the default is going to be 4,000 in here. But if you have a large ground, it may say it's too large, so you can come here and make this whatever size you want. So we made it 10,000. And now this other option here is, for more advanced, is to keep at least one ground visible. And I unchecked that, and the default is going to be that that's checked. By being unchecked, what happens is now I can go and hide ground, and there's no ground. Whereas if you don't have that checked, then you can't hide all the ground. See, now it's just running through air because there's a ground under there, but it's not seeing it. Or it's seeing it, but it's not displayed. Over here on our ground menu, down here, there is a option where you can turn it back on, and that's also a way to see how many different grounds you have, and you can either delete, which ones and where their location is. So we say OK, and now you see that it's back in. That's a quick overview of the new project, a couple other features. We'll be adding some more of these in the next few days and weeks. Thank you for watching.